Lecture 28 Discovering the Root Metaphors of an Organization, Part 2. 3.3 Root Metaphors Used by Most Business Leaders. The example earlier illustrated how one's approach to life and parenting is influenced by their root metaphors, and similarly, business leaders are influenced by 3 root metaphors in leading their companies. However, most leaders are not consciously aware of this fact and are, in a sense, slaves to these metaphors. The first root metaphor is that the marketplace is a battlefield, which dominates the way business leaders view their competitors as enemies in a life-and-death struggle. The second root metaphor is that human resources are just resources, which commodifies people and assumes that they can be consumed in the service of a particular goal. While this metaphor has some benefits, such as increased efficiency, it also has negative consequences, as it fails to recognize the humanity of individuals. The third and most insidious root metaphor is that organizations are machines, which has had the greatest impact on management theory and practice. This metaphor has been the foundation of management thinking for over a century, but it has significant negative consequences when taken too far, as organizations are not simply machines. While this metaphor has some positive effects, such as emphasizing specialization, processes, and standardization, it can lead to significant negative consequences if overemphasized. 4. Case, Foxconn. Allow me to use a specific company as an example to illustrate the negative effects of the metaphor, organization as a machine. The company in question is Foxconn, which you may know as the manufacturer of iPhones. At one point in time, Foxconn was infamous for the high number of worker suicides that occurred within its facilities. Why did Foxconn's workers feel compelled to take their own lives? The answer lies in the extreme application of the organization as a machine metaphor. This metaphor was the root cause of the worker suicides at Foxconn. A research team led by Professor Pun Nai at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University conducted a study on Foxconn and discovered that one female worker had not spoken a single word during her entire month of employment. You may find this surprising, but at Foxconn, where the organization is viewed as a machine and employees are treated as mere cogs in the machine, speaking is not a requirement for workers. Foxconn's founder, Terry Gou, is a well-known entrepreneur who succeeded in turning Foxconn into an incredibly efficient machine. After the worker suicides, Gou ordered the installation of safety nets around the buildings to prevent further suicides. However, this safety measure was still a mechanized solution. Gou had become a slave to the organization as a machine metaphor, which was using him rather than the other way around. 5. The leadership mantra is, why? How can Terry Gou become the master of this metaphor? He needs to ask himself, why? Gou needs to ask himself, why do we say this? Why do we do this? What is the underlying root metaphor behind Foxconn's everyday language and behavior? What benefits does this root metaphor bring? What are the side effects? How can we avoid these side effects? To avoid the side effects of the root metaphor, sometimes targeted measures are needed, sometimes it is necessary to abandon the root metaphor and adopt a new one, and sometimes it is necessary to combine the root metaphor with another one. However, regardless of the approach, the premise is that you must be aware of what root metaphor is leading your organization. This is the final lecture of this module on leadership cultivation and deep thinking, using the mantra, why? The previous 3 lectures discussed the 3 types of why questions that leaders should ask. Leaders need to ask the first, why, to make decisions and find the root cause of problems. Leaders need to ask the second, why, to think systematically and find system goals. Leaders need to ask the third, why, to integrate thinking and ask, why not, to achieve both. This lecture discusses the fourth, why, that leaders should ask, which is to discover the root metaphor of their organization.